Harry's wife. Apologise. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Narcissists make demands. Narcissists are never wrong, and even where a narcissist appears to admit that they are in the wrong, it's not a genuine admission, because a genuine admission fetters control, and that cannot be allowed. You are the problem. You are the one that's in the wrong. The weather has caused the difficulties. It was the wrong type of grass that meant that my football team wasn't able to succeed, even though both teams were playing on the same type of grass. The man in the moon made it go wrong. Your brother made everything go tits up. It is never, ever the narcissist's fault. And furthermore, your behaviour is such that you ought to say sorry to me. Yes, I punched you in the face, but you deserved it. And therefore, you are obligated to apologise to me. Say sorry. Apologise. The mid-range narcissist of all of the sub-schools of narcissist, i.e. lower mid-range, middle range A, middle range B, and upper mid-range, want the apology the most. This is because it fits in with their deluded image of them being the victim and that they are a decent and kind person and that you're the transgressor. It also assists with the management of the facade that the narcissist extends to the world in terms of competence, superiority, being decent and kind, being a bit of a rough diamond, but ultimately putting all of that out there in order to use that facade for the purpose of triangulation with other people, often the intimate partner primary source. And therefore, for you to apologise that your accusation that we were incompetent is important, because then it helps that facade of superiority. You issuing heartfelt contrition for having done wrong and making us look bad maintains the narcissist's facade of being a kind and decent person. Apologies are so important to receive by certain narcissists, particularly those of a mid-range variety. Many occasions, of course, the actual victim is left bewildered. Their gast is flabbered, as they think to themselves, why should I be apologising? I'm not the one that's in the wrong. Now, sometimes, some victims, as a consequence of their ability to see in shades of grey, think, well, yes, I did shout at her, but she did cause the problem to begin with, but okay, I'll apologise. I kind of played a part in the argument, and hopefully she'll apologise too. Well, good luck with that, because you're dealing with a narcissist, and therefore you're unlikely to get an apology, and as mentioned, if you do, it's just false contrition. Often, and quite rightly, the victim is left thinking, but I have nothing to apologise for, I haven't done anything wrong. You should be apologising to me, Mr. or Miss Narcissist, if you know that's what you're dealing with. You're not going to get that, of course, because that is an admission of fault, and that affects the notion of control. Many people are bewildered by the fact that the narcissist can stand there and insist upon receiving an apology. But it happens repeatedly, and it is so important because of that necessity of the assertion of control, the delusion that the narcissist has that they're not in the wrong, and, of course, the management of the facade. It can go further. A narcissist will compel a lieutenant to cause the issuing of an apology. Commonly, the intimate partner primary source of a narcissist fulfills that role as lieutenant, so that they either, completely brainwashed by the behaviour of the narcissist, believe that the narcissist is the victim, and therefore the true victim is the perpetrator, and they ought to apologise, or the intimate partner primary source realises that the narcissist is in the wrong, but basically they want the other person to apologise just so everybody can get on with their lives and that person can have a quiet life. They know that their partner is difficult, but it's just easier if everybody else apologises, because then we can just move on with things. This is something that you will find typically in a dynamic between a narcissist, the intimate partner primary source, and the intimate partner primary source's family, whereby the intimate partner primary source basically knows that their partner is difficult, but says to their family, look, I'll get it in the neck if you don't apologise, please just do it for my sake. Harry doesn't fall into that category. He falls into the category of being a true believer, namely he's been brainwashed to believe that his wife is the victim and his extended family are in the wrong. And all of that, quite common in certain dynamics, leads us to this pronouncement from the Mail Online by Alistair Lockhart: Apologise. Prince Harry demands that royal family say sorry to Harry's wife, as he says, you know what you did, and now I know why you did it, and you've been caught out, so just come clean. Prince Harry has demanded the royal family apologise to Harry's wife after he made a series of explosive claims in his new book, claiming his family were treating him as if he were delusional and paranoid. Well, guess what, Harry? They're doing that because you are. The prince said, you know what you did, and I know why you did it, and you've been caught out, so just come clean. Notice again the typical Sussex behaviour of taking refuge in vagueness. Vagueness is a form of manipulation. Harry doesn't say, this is what you've done, and you did it because. He plays the game, you know what you did, and I know why you did it. He doesn't. He's just trotting those things out, parroting what his wife has said. It's not clear what Harry wants his family to apologise to his wife for. Well, invariably, it never is when it involves a narcissist. But he claimed he was fighting the good fight by siding with Harry's wife. One day when he wakes up, he'll realise that he has been a triple first-class douche canoe in respect of siding with her. But for now, owing to the corruption of his various empathic and narcissistic traits, the impact of his emotional thinking, the fog of the manipulations that he finds himself in, he really does believe that he is that white knight saving her from the treacherous and evil royal family. He claimed that if people had listened to his concerns earlier, the gulf between he and Harry's wife and the rest of the royals would not have grown so wide. Again, deluded. Of course, it grows wide because of her behaviours. If they had listened to him and done what he'd want, things would have been even worse. In an interview with The Telegraph, before the official launch of his book earlier this week, Harry appeared to blame his family for the feud. He said it was all so avoidable, but they just couldn't help themselves. The Duke of Sussex added that he could not understand why it seemed so shocking and outrageous for him to tell what he said was the truthful side of the story. Well, you don't get that because you're thick. You don't get that because of your emotional thinking. Everybody else can see it's outrageous because you're not telling the truth, Harry. Harry also claimed he felt a responsibility to reform the monarchy in the interests of his two young children. Your two children are so far down the line of succession that they're not relevant. Indeed, you want them to be private citizens. One of them was born in the United States, apparently, and therefore, why do you think that you need to reform the monarchy in the interests of your two young children? Assuming that your children exist, Harry, do you know what the best thing is that you could do? Get rid of your wife and live your life quietly and privately. That's what your children would want. Oh, and give up the ganj as well. He also described how therapy had helped him, but said he was unable to get through to his family to agree with him. Again, this is almost like a schizophrenic that sees a plot in the registration plates of motor vehicles to assassinate Joe Biden or Rishi Sunak or whoever it might be. And of course, to the schizophrenic, that's their reality. And they go on and on about it. And they can't understand how nobody else can see it. And of course, nobody else can see it because in their reality, this plot doesn't exist. And no matter how many times they tell the schizophrenic this, it doesn't wash because the schizophrenic has no insight. Now, I'm not saying that Harry's schizophrenic, but he suffers a similar lack of insight. And I use the comparison with the schizophrenic to help you understand why he can't see it. And he's adamant that it's the truth because basically his brain is telling him that's the truth. And therefore, to him, he's incapable of thinking, hang on a second, might it be that I'm wrong and everybody else is right? No, that cannot happen. The rest of the article repeats things that we already know, but it is unsurprising that we get this self-centered demand for an apology, which we all know, of course, has been generated by Harry's wife as a narcissist because she believes that she's right and everybody else is wrong. Let's have a quick look at the comments to see if anybody supports what he's saying. Bielefeld, his arrogance is breathtaking. He's trying to reform the monarchy. On. What does he exactly want them to say sorry for? The fact that they didn't fall in love with Harry's wife? It can be hard to find a partner that you get along with and can build a life with, never mind one that your family will love also. Therapy sometimes does harm, I think. I've seen situations where the recipient believes themselves to have been empowered, when in reality it seems they have merely become resentful of others and rude. Chalky, who is he to demand anything? The gap-minder, blindsided by love, but I fear it's too toxic to survive the long haul. What a way to live. Hope they are happy with their millions. Dougie67, the world is sorry that these two won't go away. We have suffered enough. Glam Queen, until the Sussexes take some responsibility and acknowledge there's two sides, there will never be reconciliation. Jankel, I don't think it is the royal family who have been caught out. I think we have been wrong about you all along. Also beginning to worry about your children, finding out about your treacherous behaviour when they are older. Marianne S. 1996, the sheer arrogance of Harry astounds me every day. Tight shirt, you don't demand anything in life, especially not an apology. U2 Gator, I'm still not clear on what they were caught out on. All similar thoughts that are demonstrating that it's Harry and Harry's wife that remain within their awful shared fantasy. And so many other people think they've nothing to apologise for, you haven't said what you've caught them out in relation to, and you're arrogant, demanding such an apology. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.